Hi there, Z here, and aren't cults fun? Actually, that sounds really bad. Hey, can I redo that? Hi there, Z here, and aren't cults interesting? In the most fun way possible. I don't mean fun, like, most of the time it ends in tragedy, because it does. People get their freedoms taken away, they get their properties, their money, fathers lose daughters, mothers lose sons. It usually ends in death a lot of the times, and it's really sad, but can I say something here? I absolutely love learning about serial killers and cults. I absolutely love them because they're just so interesting. Like, let's take, for instance, the Aum Shinrikyo. That cult was known for a sarin attack on a Tokyo subway that killed a lot of people. But the leader himself, thinking he was the reincarnation of Jesus Christ, which a lot of them do. Let's be completely fair. But I read a lot of pop-up books when I was younger, and I don't think Jesus Christ was obese or Asian. So he might not have been who he thought he was. But then there's other ones like the Heaven's Gate people where the leader saw a comet up in the sky and he's like, oh, look at that comet. Obviously, there's a huge alien ship trailing right behind it and we need to kill ourselves at a certain amount of time so we can go up there and actually meet them face to face. Fucking crazy. Are you kidding me? And some of them aren't crazy. Some of them just want like more religious freedom, like the Branch Davidians down in Texas, and religious freedom to them was diddling kids. But that's beside the point. The government's like, no, we have to fight. We have to be sure everyone's going to be okay for it because this is America. You guys got to pay taxes. And they're like, fuck you. And there was a lot of gunfire and there was a lot of explosions and a lot of people died. It was a mess. Which is why I'm making my own religion. And I'm going to do it right this time. And if there's anybody out there that wants more purpose in their sad, pathetic life than coming home to the same one-bedroom apartment with a cat that hates your guts and a gerbil that has no idea who you are and doesn't care about your sad, pathetic existence. If anybody out there wants more meaning on this short existential quandary that we have called life on this small ball of earth and water spinning in this huge abyss of space, bring $2,000 to Mount Rushmore. Meet me there with a handful of condoms, baby oil in your swim trunks, and very tight lips. For the rest of you, you can play Far Cry 5.
Oh, fuck, there he is. Crazy motherfucker. Jesus. We're officially in Peggy country.
So, the game begins in a helicopter where you, disposable generic hothead cop number 148, and of course, the legend himself, Mr. Sheriff Earl Handbar Mustache of the Gods Whitehorse, are just sitting around kind of talking about what you had for dinner, and oh yeah, there's a violent cult in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. And if you're like me, you may be thinking to yourself, what is the best method of arresting a leader of a massive cult that's known for killing everybody in their way? Maybe invade with an army? No, that doesn't sound right. Maybe carpet bomb certain cult strongholds and come in with a small group of army men and kind of take down all the main... No. 3 dudes in a helicopter. No, we'll be good. Let's go with this route. By the way, helicopter crash in 3, 2, 1. Oh, come on. There's no AAA game that can resist a helicopter crash cutscene. 1! Alright, I guess whatever. I guess we'll just move on. We don't have to have a helicopter cutscene. So when you actually arrive, it's a pretty strange scene. I mean, they're obviously not happy with you coming to take their leader away, and most of them have guns and attack dogs and explosives that they can use in a moment's notice, but their reaction seems to be more, oh, you better not take our precious leader, and then you go back and you're like, well, we're taking him anyways, and they're like, well, all right, but I'm not happy about it. I want to tell you that. I mean, what the hell is going on? There's 3 of us and 1, 2, 3, approximately an assload of you guys. What am I missing here? But anyway, you get to the church, you see him, you talk with him, you arrest him, and that's the end of the game. 6 out of 10. I had a good time. No, I'm just messing with you. Halfway back to the helicopter, the crazies finally realize what the term horribly outnumbered means, and they start going after you. So you all jump in the helicopter and you try to take away, and oh, yeah! about that. I was expecting it for so long. It's just the best feeling ever that it's actually happening. It's kind of like wanting to bang your girlfriend, but she's on the rag and she won't let you do anything else. So you just kind of sit there not expecting anything, surfing through channels, but then she comes home after drinking with her friends, she gets on her knees and she blows you. I mean, it's a whole lot of depressing blue balling only to be surprised at the very end in the best way possible. And when the crash occurs, you get the faint sense of something familiar, right? An accident leaving you stuck in an isolated foreign land surrounded by less than savory characters, an eccentric but absolutely crazy charismatic leader that everyone blindly follows, and said crazy, insane leader takes a very, very keen interest in you and only you. Yeah, sounds real familiar, doesn't it? Now, I've only played the last 2 Far Cry games, so I couldn't quite tell you what the first 2 consist of. What the gameplay looks like is you're just on an island with a ton of guns and you're killing a ton of military people, as for the par for early 2000 action game. But it really does seem like Ubisoft enjoys the eccentric madman prototype, and that can definitely get old after a while. They hit gold with Vaz and Far Cry 3. Everybody loved it, including me. And then they tried to recreate Vaz and Far Cry 4 with a little bit more civility and a posh accent, which kind of wavered. There were some good parts, but for the most part, it seems like it was done before better with Vaz. And in this game, the token leader is just a wide-eyed Jim Jones-looking knockoff, complete with the big, goofy fucking glasses, who thinks he's the reincarnation of Jesus Christ. And even though the actor playing him legitimately does him very well and he's giving it his all, most of the time it just looks like he forgot his lines with how many dramatic pauses he takes.
He fought me?
Your next line is but mostly. But
Mostly
there
he
you
fought
go.
himself.
Line. Can anyone get him a script?
The demons that he brought
What the
home
fuck is
from the
going
war
on?
consumed him.
We're paying by the minute. Can you go a little bit
He
quick?
thought he was a weapon
What the fuck? Is
without a purpose.
Is this guy like mentally like unstable? I don't want to be yelling at
That he was a warrior without a legacy.
Oh my god, I'm going to lunch! So the plot is meh. I mean, it's been done before, but it hasn't been overdone. It's just right in the middle. But what about the characters? Well, besides the sexy sheriff with the cowboy hat, the walrus mustache, and the Sam Elliott voice, there are a few other kooky and entertaining characters you meet in the game, including a violent director who's trying to film a movie in the middle of all this chaos, and more angsty women than you'll see in a feminist rally. But what about your main character? In all the other games, you were always this sheltered, soft-spoken man who was thrust into the violence and forced to do terrible things to stay alive, overall cracking his mind and making him a deadly mass murderer against his own will. In this game, all of that switched out with a silent protagonist who's part of the military, so obviously he mastered everything from a pistol to a hunting bow to a motherfucking rocket launcher. So characters in this game get about a B. You know, not too bad, but nothing really exceptional. The side characters are nice, but the main ones are meh. It's alright, it's okay, it's passable. So what does that leave us, boys and girls? Yes, the gameplay, and I am happy to say that this is pretty much where most of the entertainment comes from. Just think of GTA-style sandbox set in the Midwest, backwoodsy area. You have 3 main parts of the map where 3 major cult leaders are positioned. You have Jacob Seed, a military man who controls the cult's army, Faith Seed, whose main contribution is pretty much getting everyone high as fuck, and John Seed, the family lawyer and priest, because when you're in a violent sacrificial cult, you probably need a good lawyer and a better priest. Each family member controls a certain area of this backwoods map, with Joseph Seed, the previously mentioned crazy person, being right in the middle and being the head honcho himself. And when you first spawn and get all that tutorial stuff out of the way, you are free to choose which of these 3 areas to liberate first and help all the innocent people who are being oppressed by the cult there. This can be done several ways, including stopping executions at the side of the road, shooting down cars, carrying prisoners to whatever the fuck they were going to do to those prisoners, taking over cult strongholds, and destroying shrines, only to name several different kinds. With each liberation move done, some points are afforded to your overall freedom bar at the top with multiple little breaks where the leader of the area tries to stop you. And this is where things should pick up, you would imagine, right? Well, even though I completed all the areas starting with the Faith Seed section, because why wouldn't I start with the area with hallucinogenic flowers, which are called bliss, not really necessary, all you need to know is they get people high. And then I went to Jacob Seed's area thinking, hey, these are two of the most different people. One of them's all about love and using her voice to try to turn you to her side, and the other is all about join my side or I'll kill you right now. Each of these should have completely different gameplay styles, correct? Maybe kind of a little bit, Faith's area has a thing called angels where people get high for too long and their minds go to mush and they get suicidal and homicidal and they just go into an absolute frenzy when this gospel music plays. They're pretty much zombies. That's what they are, in all honesty. Definitely an interesting concept and idea, and when Faith decides to intervene with you, you pretty much trip balls out of your goddamn mind and out of nowhere travel to this white pillowy paradise straight out of a white supremacist's wet dreams before you wake up in a random location half naked with a dead hunter lying right next to you. Unique, fun, and even though listening to Faith can put a cokehead to sleep, I wanted to see what was next.
Father showed her how special she was. She was full of love and life.
Oh my God, you're giving me diabetes. Shut up. And after that, I went to Joseph's side. I would imagine that each of his interactions would be like endless waves of crazy motherfuckers with guns, but not really. Whenever he intervenes with you, a car crashes into you, you get dragged out of the car and taken to this Call of Duty Black Ops brainwashing room where you hallucinate the scenario where you kill a bunch of guys, wake up in a field next to a bunch of dead bodies, and you realize it's pretty much the same shit. That being said, a lot of the side missions had way more armored units, helicopter attacks, and all that kind of shit than Faith's area. So, kinda, it did turn up the gameplay a little bit, but the overall cutscenes were pretty lame. It was just, they would take you, you would talk to the guy, the civilians around you would break you out, and then he would take you again, rinse and repeat. Kinda boring. And John's area was, whoo boy, I mean, he's an interesting character, I'll tell you that, but it's the same thing. They crash into you, they put you to sleep with these sleep bullets, and then they drag you out of the car, and then you break out every single time. Every single time, each of these cutscenes was introduced by, we're taking this guy, let's take him and bring him down to this area. Oh shit, he actually broke out somehow. How did he break out? Let's go get him again and put him down in the deeper part. Oh my God, how does he keep getting out? It was the same thing, but of course they needed something to show that, hey, these guys want to talk to you so we can indulge you a little bit more in this fucking plot. But enough about all the families and everything else like that. Let's just talk about the core gameplay real quick. Like I mentioned before, think GTA, but a little bit more rural. You could steal cars. Well, I mean, not really steal cars. You are commandeering them, but it's pretty much like, hey, I'm not telling you I need this car. I'm not stealing it from you against your will, but I have a gun and you don't. So what are we doing here? Are we talking or are we fucking? But like any other sandbox game, you have multiple side missions that you go to and main missions to keep the story going. And as I mentioned before, some of them are actually pretty entertaining. You could be cutting off bull testicles for a testicle festival at one point. No, I'm not joking, that's actually in this game. And then on the other end, you'd just be listening to the ramblings of some guy who's completely stoned out of his gourd talking about praising a monkey god. It was a very strange thing. And it was all very charming. I mean, yeah, the main family members most of the time were dry. Oh, I'm so crazy. Seriously, I love Jesus. That's why I cough people's skin and eat them, because God wants me to eat this flesh and God wants you to feel the pain. And I mean, yeah, it's like any other crazy persona that you see out there, but going back to the family real quick, there are just some genuine parts where you can see through the insanity and you feel with them. But then they poop in their hand and then they draw a crucifix on the wall and you automatically think, oh, okay, all this nice feeling I had for them before, completely gone. There's no reason to feel sorry for these people. And this next thing, it just says finish. So this is obviously Lazy Zach's way of saying, hey Zach, in the future, this is your way of finishing the script. So there really isn't much else I could say. I could say that I enjoyed the game. I enjoy it really well, and I'm going to try my best not to rant here, or not rant, but I'm not going to try to talk way over the time limit. I enjoyed it, and I played it completely through. That's the main reason why I didn't finish the script to begin with, is I wasn't finished with the game yet. And I finished it, and the ending, okay. Yeah, I'm not going to ruin it for anybody, because I can tell you that it could be done multiple ways, and it was whatever. I mean, it was, what you really need to take away from this is, are you looking for a good, solid story, or are you looking for a fun game? Because this is a fun game. The story is there, and the story is competent. Is the story going to carry anything? Absolutely not. It's just okay. Now, this is probably, the gameplay of this is probably so fun that I can see YouTubers, excuse me, I could see YouTubers completely going all off on this. They would probably put out at least 5 videos with all the random shit that you could do in this game. Because it's fun. They spent a lot of time on the gameplay and everything that you can do. And that's great. Is it worth your $60? Abso-fucking-lutely. I absolutely loved this game, and I just want to tell you it's not a perfect game. I liked it a lot. At the same time, this is coming from a man who enjoys the hell out of Sea of Thieves, and you can look at any YouTuber's channel, and apparently I'm the only one who believes this. So, take that with a grain of fucking salt. Where's my life going?